Ladies and gentlemen, in the light of truth and divine mercy, let us reflect on a serious matter: 15 punishments for those who abandon namaz. Once, the Prophet superscripto spoke of a dream. He saw people sighing, some with crushed heads, some dragged in fire. Jibreel superscript 1 U grave usu section U grave O cube U grave O section U grave explained, these are those who neglected Salah. Among the punishments, no barakah in life, dua not accepted, face darkened, soul taken disgracefully, grave tight and burning, answering angels becomes hard, bridge of sirat like a sharp sword, thirst no water on, face black and gathering scroll in left hand, Allah's anger, no mercy, cursed by angels, deprived of intercession, hell is home. This isn't a tale to scare you but to awaken the heart. Namaz isn't a burden. It's the soul's lifeline. Return to it before it's too late. Neglecting namaz brings not only worldly loss but severe punishments in the hereafter, making prayer not just a duty, but a shield for the soul. This single sentence carries within it a deep ocean of wisdom, a warning, and a call to return to the essence of our creation. The value of Salah, the 5 daily prayers, is not merely in the physical act of bowing or reciting verses, but in what it represents: a divine bond between the Creator and His servant. In Islam, namaz is the first deed to be questioned on the Day of Judgment. If it is correct, the rest of the deeds will follow. If it is lacking, the rest will crumble. This alone shows its weight in the eyes of Allah. Prayer is not a ritual to be fulfilled out of habit, but a spiritual meeting 5 times a day, a moment when the servant presents his sins, hopes, fears, and dreams before his Lord. It is a moment when the world halts, and the soul finds peace. But when this connection is severed, the heart becomes hollow, and the soul begins to starve. When we turn our backs on Salah, we turn our backs on light itself. The Prophet Muhammad superscript mentioned that neglecting prayer leads to darkness in the face, tightness in the chest, loss of sustenance, and lack of peace in the home. A person may acquire wealth, but it brings no blessing. Food fills the stomach but leaves the heart empty. Relationships grow but are void of love. Why? Because the barakah that descends through prayer is missing. One of the signs of a believer is his punctuality in prayer. Even when things get difficult, even when time feels short, the believer makes time for his meeting with Allah. Compare this with the state of the one who abandons prayer. Slowly, their heart hardens, the remembrance of Allah fades from their tongue, and Shaitan finds an open door into their life. The soul without Salah is like a body without food, it withers. Islam teaches us through stories, real and divine, of the consequences of neglecting this most sacred duty. Once, during a journey in the spiritual realm, the Prophet superscripto saw visions of people undergoing severe punishments. One man had his head crushed by a rock, over and over again. The Prophet superscripto, shaken by what he saw, asked Jibreel superscript 1 U grave usu section U grave O cube U grave O section U grave who this was. Jibreel responded, he is the one whose head was too heavy to bow down in prayer. Another man was being dragged through blazing fire. Jibreel explained that this was a person who missed his prayers and delayed them until the time was gone. These are not mere tales, but warnings, visions shown to the Prophet superscripto to be conveyed to his ummah. Each punishment is a reflection of the person's state in this life. A person who found time for everything but could not find a few minutes for Allah ends up lost in the hereafter. Salah is a lifeline. The 5 daily prayers are 5 opportunities to cleanse the soul, realign the heart, and strengthen the bond with the Creator. Missing these is like missing out on the soul's oxygen. In this life, the punishments may not always be visible immediately, but they manifest gradually. A person begins to feel an emptiness inside. They chase one desire after another, hoping to find peace, but peace is a gift that only comes through remembrance. Allah says in the Quran, indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. How can the heart find rest if the very thing that brings peace is ignored? Salah brings discipline, order, and humility. It teaches gratitude when we bow, submission when we prostrate, and focus when we stand. It is a complete training ground for the soul. Abandoning it is not just neglecting a ritual, it is stepping away from divine guidance, and the cost is high. The Prophet superscript said, "Between a man and disbelief is the abandonment of prayer." This hadith is powerful. It doesn't say abandonment of fasting, charity, or even hajj, but prayer, because prayer is the foundation. There are 15 punishments mentioned in various narrations and warnings from scholars for those who abandon Salah in this world. 5 are experienced: no blessing in life, face darkened, lack of reward for good deeds, rejection of supplications, and a life devoid of peace. In the grave, another 3 follow. The grave tightens, it fills with fire, and the soul faces fear and pain. On the day of judgment, 7 punishments await. The face will be blackened, the scroll of deeds handed in the left hand, crossing the sirat becomes near impossible, the body burns with thirst, and the intercession of the Prophet superscript is denied. Allah will not even look at them with mercy, nor will he purify them. Can a soul survive such a fate? Is missing Salah worth this loss? Many people ask, but I believe in my heart. Isn't that enough? The answer lies in the Sunnah. The heart's belief must manifest in action. Faith without practice is like a tree with no fruit. The companions of the Prophet superscript feared missing even one prayer. Umar ibn al-Khattab +O Pilcroaso section U grave O superscript 1 U grave was stabbed while in prayer, and his first concern was whether he had completed his Salah. This was their mindset. Even the hypocrites used to pray, albeit lazily and for show. Allah described them in the Quran. Indeed, the hypocrites seek to deceive Allah, but it is He who deceives them. And when they stand for prayer, they stand lazily, showing to the people and not remembering Allah except a little. What then of the one who doesn't pray at all? There is a well-known story of a man during the time of the Prophet superscript who delayed his prayers constantly. Despite advice and reminders, he kept postponing it, saying, "I will pray when I have time." One day, the time came but not as he expected. His body was brought for burial. The prayer he delayed became the prayer others performed over him. Too late. His soul longed to return, even for a single sajda, but the time was gone. The reality of death is that it doesn't wait for us to fix our lives. No one knows when their final breath will be. Salah is a protection. It is said that those who protect their prayers will find protection in the grave. The angels will greet them with peace, their records will shine, and on the day of judgment, their face will glow with light. Children learn from what they see. If a parent misses prayer, the child grows thinking it's not essential. This neglect becomes generational. A single missed prayer seems small, but over time, it shapes lives and distances entire households from the remembrance of Allah. One prayer missed out of laziness can become 2, then 5, then weeks. Shaitan works slowly but surely. The key to fighting him is consistency in prayer. Even in hardship, the Prophet superscript turned to Salah. When news of battle, death, or difficulty reached him, he would say, "O Baal, call the Adon, give us rest through prayer." Because prayer brings peace, it aligns the heart with the divine. It reminds the servant that he is not in control, Allah is. There are also those who delay prayer, thinking they will perform it later. But delaying without valid reason is itself a sign of heedlessness. The one who loves Allah rushes to his call. Each prayer has a set time, and delaying it without cause is a sign of spiritual weakness. The believer should feel discomfort when a prayer is missed. It should ache the heart, because every missed prayer is a missed opportunity to speak directly to the one who gave us life, sustenance, and endless mercy. We should remember the story of the people of hell mentioned in Surah Al-Mudaththir. When asked, "What has brought you into hell?" they reply, "We were not of those who used to pray." This is the first thing they mention. The first sign of their failure was abandoning Salah. Even in our modern busy lives, with distractions and deadlines, the believer finds time for prayer. It's not about time management, it's about priority. What we value, we make time for. If we can't give a few minutes to Allah, What does that say about our love for him? Salah is the gift of the believer. The Prophet Isis superscript O was given it directly during the miraculous journey of Isra and Mi'raj. Among all obligations, only Salah was given in the heavens. This shows its unique rank. It wasn't delivered through an angel on earth it was given beyond the skies. And yet, how many treat it as a burden instead of a blessing? Even on a battlefield, prayer is not excused. The Quran commands believers to pray while standing, sitting, or even lying down, showing that there is no excuse strong enough to abandon it. Those who skip it out of laziness or distraction must understand, they are risking not only their worldly peace but their eternal fate. The mercy of Allah is vast, and He accepts those who return. The doors of Tawbah remain open, but one cannot live in constant delay. Shaitan whispers, tomorrow you'll change. Tomorrow you'll pray, but tomorrow may never come. The wise act today. Namaz trains us to stop and reconnect with Allah regularly. Each time we bow and prostrate, we remind ourselves of our place in the world, and not as kings, not as owners, but as servants. And the servant who is closest to his master is the one whose forehead is on the ground in sajda. Without Salah, the heart becomes arrogant. It forgets who created it. Salah keeps us grounded, reminds us of accountability, and polishes the soul. The Prophet Isis superscript O said that prayer is like bathing in a river 5 times a day. How could any dirt remain? Likewise, sins are washed away through prayer. But if someone doesn't pray, their sins pile up, their heart darkens, their vision of right and wrong blurs. We live in a time where distractions are many, but so are reminders. The adhan echoes from mosques, apps remind us, watches vibrate with prayer times. Yet still, many ignore the call. This is not a problem of technology, it's a problem of the heart. When the heart is alive, even a whisper is enough to move it. When it's dead, even the loudest alarm falls silent. The punishments for abandoning Salah are not only physical, they are spiritual, emotional, and eternal. They affect the soul, the grave, and the hereafter. A wise person reflects before reaching that stage, before the angel of death arrives, before the grave is filled, before the day of standing begins, so there is still time to turn back.